All right. I forgot whose turn it is. I'm just going to take my turn.
It is
Hello,
your turn.
everybody. Welcome to the Automatic Podcast as episode 17. Uh, just a quick little list for those who are coming in. This episode, we're going to be talking about winter storms, Netflix, and their password sharing policies, and how gamers can save gaming. So if you're interested, there's timestamps in the description below. But hopefully you guys enjoy. And Steve, how are you doing today? I know it's been
I'm doing,
cold.
I'm doing, I'm doing fine. Yeah, and we're obviously going to talk about that. But before we even move forward with that, just to remind the people, I mean, you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We have our own YouTube channel. We have a Twitter that is specifically for the Automata Cast. That's the tag. So please follow us and share us, and that's where you can find all our updates there. But going back to your question, yes, very cold. It's definitely going to be one of our main topics today. But before we even get into that, speaking of cold, I went cold. I've gone cold. I'm playing Crisis Core, and even though I said I wanted to flip it by now, and I haven't touched it since the couple days last week. But I will get to that soon, shortly here, because I don't want that to catch dust quickly. I want to flip. I want to experience the whole game before I lose my playability with it. Because you know how it is with games where you get so comfortable with playing it, and then the playstyle and all the controlling and the buttons, and then you put it on the shelf for a little bit, and then you come back and it's like, you have to teach yourself all over again. Don't want that to happen. But fortunately and unfortunately, I guess, WoW is still reigning number one. Matter of fact, not that I was following it, but today
They're still going at it.
I'm still going at it. The
No,
world
they're
first happened
they're still going at it.
For the final boss in the raid. So
Wait, they finally
uh,
took it down?
yeah, it happened. I don't know what exact time, but it happened probably very early today. Echo one, and it happened while Liquid was sleeping. So there's actually a little bit of a controversy going because Blizzard did a nerf while they were sleeping, so therefore Echo had full advantage of that nerf. And legit, like right after it, once it got to that phase that got nerfed, they just easy streeted it. So there's a little controversy with it, and even the Echo people are saying that it doesn't feel right.
Yeah. Well, this has been
So,
this. I mean, obviously, this isn't one of our topics, but because
yeah.
I have been following the world first race for a very long time, for multiple years, this has always been an ongoing issue. Like Blizzard really needs to step up the game because, especially for wintertime releases, I think this was like the last two expansions. When something came out, there was always, they did it right before Christmas, and the Raiders always said just like no life until the end because they don't want to continue it during Christmas, but they would because they want to win. And the same thing with like updating bosses, like because they overtune these bosses on purpose, they slowly tweak it as it's going on because they want to see where the skill level lies. And I feel like that's unfair that they're using these players as live testing when they really should have got that done beforehand. Because a lot of these bosses cannot be killed unless they're nerfed.
So that is you're right. That is what they're doing, but I don't know how you really figure that out before you push it, because if you allow, like, okay, these are the elite of the elites, right? So how do you do testing for these type of people without giving them the heads up on how the battle mechanics and the fights are going to work before they actually do a live push? So like that's a very
this is how you would do
thing.
it, because Final Fantasy does this, and I know Destiny does this. They have QR testers. They do it beforehand. They also have to sign a contract that they can't leak any information until after the raid. That means they cannot participate in Worlds First. So they are told what the mechanics are, and they have to do those mechanics. And if they succeed and they do it multiple times, that's how you know it's finished. If they can't beat it, then they start tweaking those mechanics and make it beatable. That's why usually like Destiny and Final Fantasy raids can be beaten within 24 hours because those mechanics are already fleshed out. And that's
Yeah,
why
but
World
then
of Warcraft. That's why.
world.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. keep interrupting. There. Like, go ahead. Well, I mean, if a world first race ends in 24 hours, to me that's extremely anticlimactic. Me personally, I like the idea that these take a whole fucking week, but that's just me.
But
I mean,
it's an inflated time thing, because not because the raid's hard. It's not because of skill level. It's because of mechanic balancing issue. Like these players could beat in 24 hours if these bosses were just so broken. Like none of these race, I don't think in the last like 6 expansions has any team ever beaten a raid without tweaking happening. Like the
Oh yeah.
developing team has to nerf these bosses because they overpowered them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not like a skill issue. That's a development issue right there.
Mm-hmm. Are those? I mean, are those complaints from like the Raiders though? Like, I mean, the participants.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah, one
I
hundred
don't know.
percent.
Like
Like
this,
that. Like
because
this Echo versus Liquid thing.
uh-huh.
How it happened overnight because EU versus US, different time
Mm-hmm.
zones.
Mm-hmm.
I mean that's one of the ongoing issues, and they experience it every single raid.
Mm-hmm. That's very interesting. I don't know. Like, I, I, I mean, to me personally, I think if you're gonna spend so much time creating something and you just have it done and washed away in a day, I don't like that. I mean, a in a day versus the grand scheme of things really isn't much, but like, I don't know, man. To me, that feels very wasteful.
Or there's one way to do it, and I think they kind of created their solution. They release the whole raid in tiers. They do their testing beforehand, then they have this these tier limits where they do the live boss testing, and it's a set time for everybody. Not this guy gets it at 6 hours ahead, and then that guy gets it another 6 hours. Straight across the board, set time. All these updates go live, so teams know when they need to participate. Because right now they're guessing when they have to participate, and that's really bad.
I think this time they did that though.
They told them exactly when they're doing updates.
No, not updates, but the raid itself, all difficulties went live at the same time. Remember?
Well, yeah,
I think we
that
talked about that.
yeah, but when Blizzard tweaks the boss, they do
Oh
it
yeah, yeah.
randomly, and that's
So
unfair for the people that were practicing
okay,
beforehand.
so to that point, I think that's where they really need to figure that out. The only thing I could think about to combat that, and I don't have the answer right now, um, is when they do these nerfs or live hot fixes, whatever. Historically, are they like done at the same time, almost like a daily reset, or are they really just live? No exact top of the hour, on a specific date. You know what I'm saying? Because like I feel like if there is historical evidence that they push these nerves at a specific time, then that's really not a detriment, but that's then the player's fault for not knowing that information. Like I understand they need to sleep and do all that stuff, but it's like if I just like a weekly reset, if I know at this exact time every week they're going to do a reset or they're going to push out an update, well, I might have to really keep myself up to experience this whatever these hot fixes are to see if we could kill it. Like I don't know, but once again, I don't know that information. Yeah, they I don't know how you really resolve that because you got these guys competing from different sides of the world, and that's tough.
I
That's
mean,
tough.
other games
And,
have succeeded, and they do it flawlessly.
uh, and then I'm sure they purposely did it not really to give them the advantage, but because they wanted it done. I think before Christmas for sure. But
Yeah. Well, yeah, the players definitely want it before Christmas because they really wanted to celebrate their holidays.
exactly. So, and they don't want it to happen like Christmas Eve. Like I think they timed it, like I said, dare I say perfect, but adequately. So yeah, so there's that, and then once again, same games in my life, Octopath.
Wait, Octopath
Ta-
Champions of the Continent or something else?
yeah, Champions of the Continent. Tapped into that a little bit more recently because they're giving like a lot of free shit for once. Well, because they have a campaign going right now, and this actually kind of blows my mind a little bit. They have 20 million downloads, which I think is very significant for a game title that definitely probably wasn't that popular with the console release. So, because I know they sold over, I think 2 million on the Switch alone, but I don't know about Steam.
Oh wait, Champions of the Continent is also on Switch.
No. It's not. It's just straight mobile. I'm sorry. I was just comparing it to just the original release.
Oh, okay.
That you go from like 2 million units sold to 20 million downloads. Now, I know mobile, everyone is very accessible with the mobile phones, but I just think
And
that's
also it's free too.
It's also free. That is very true, and you really can do everything for free. It's just it'll obviously take you time, but um, But yeah, I feel like that's a pretty good testament to that game.
You got me excited
Um,
for a second because I thought you said they released it on Switch. I'm like, oh, I might actually play it now.
oh no, shit! Even I would convert to the Switch if they did that. Oh yeah, for sure.
So before
I
you move
would
on from that, do you know if it's just 20 million downloads or is that 20 million plus active players?
just downloads,
Okay, so
just
they
downloads.
didn't release
So,
like an active player count.
not that I've seen. I'm sure that data probably might be somewhere, but if they choose to release it, but yeah, no, that's a valid point. No, that's strictly downloads. That much I could confirm.
That's still
Strictly
pretty.
downloads.
That's a pretty
It's,
good milestone for them.
no, it is. I think. I mean, I don't know what you really compare that to, but I mean, for an IP that's not called Final Fantasy, it's and they do have Final Fantasy mobile games too. I don't know what their numbers look like, but yeah, I thought that was cool. And yeah, that's really it for gaming for me this week. Man, I feel like Twilight Zone, man. Like this week went by so stupid fast, and I know I've been having days off, but like, um, I did celebrate my birthday Wednesday, so there was that. So yeah, it was just a weird week. It went by fast.
Yeah.
And how about you, sir? I know you said you've been busy, but did you sneak in some gameplay?
So the way I've been playing is very weird. I'm playing like an old man. So,
Oh,
this week I've been busy. Oh, well, the last few weeks actually, I've been very busy moving stuff, helping family out. So I didn't have enough time to really game. But this week I have gotten a chance to game because I have my PS Vita. I decided to undust it again, and I've been playing some like small games because I modded this. I've been playing some homebrew games, and I've also been playing Word Search on here as well. So I know it's gonna sound disgusting, but whenever I go to the bathroom, I do a little bit of word search for like 5 minutes and then get out. So I'm playing a lot of word search this week.
nice. Word searches are fun. I used to do that a lot with my great grandfather, and yeah, good times.
Yeah, it's just weird because like maybe it's like therapeutic for me a little bit because just looking at the screen and trying to find the words, even if it's in reverse, you feel some form of satisfaction of an accomplishment for finding that word, then going through the whole list. Because um, there's two actual word search games on here. It's called Epic Word Search Collection, and there's another one, Word Search Collection 2, and it has like four different categories from like food, history, sports, whatever, based all these different categories, and each category has like over 1,000 words. I finished 90% of both games, so that
Holy shit, man!
means yeah.
Jesus,
But I've
that's a
also been
lot.
playing this word
That's a
search for
lot.
a while.
That's a lot of time spent on the toilet.
Well, recently I finished it because I want to platinum the game. The platinum for these games are actually really easy. It takes like 30 minutes because there's only certain words you gotta highlight to unlock a trophy. But I didn't
Gotcha.
really care about that. I just wanted to find all the words. So I've been playing the word search games for a couple months already. But this week I just zeroed in on the trophy part and I got them all done. I don't know if I'm gonna go back and 100% it. Well, technically 100% because I got the platinum, but finding all the words, I'm like 90,000 of 100,000 words done.
We call that 1,000% it.
Yeah. So I've been playing that plus some other small indie games that are fun, but then it made me realize how much I hate these little analog sticks because I hate my thumb for the analog stick. It's like almost 2 times the size, and it sucks to play on. And the
Yeah.
buttons, these buttons are even smaller. For those that can't see, I'm holding up the PS Vita, and these little buttons are so small because I fat fingered both of them by accident.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, word searching is great. I mean, that's great exercise for your brain too. I mean, there's supposedly a lot of articles about that. A lot of doctors say that, like that, not only word searches but crossword puzzles and all that stuff. Like those things do stimulate your brain. So it's really good that you're even just playing it.
Well, I just find them fun. Like I don't do it for
Oh yeah,
like
they
any
are fun.
benefit. I just find it fun.
I think what would be cool is if like they have like Tetris versus Pac-Man versus. They should have word search versus. Players get the
Oh
same
man,
fucking sheet and you gotta race to get more words. Dude, that'd be fucking so dope.
word search 99 or whatever.
Yeah, that'd be so dope.
That would be fun. Yeah,
That would be fun.
that would be one. Like how like speed races do that.
Uh,
They
we
had speed race word searches.
we have to. We're just throwing in the towel for the podcast. We're gonna start making a word search versus game people.
Yeah, I mean I would 100% play that. I'm
I
not sure.
wonder,
What's up?
is there one out there? Like seriously, now I want to know.
I mean, there's loads of video game word searches. I don't know if there's a word search battle royale that'd be fun to look up. If there's not, we'll work on it. But the one games, I mean, I'd love to have them again. I haven't played them in a while. It's like the basically I find games where you have to look on the screen and find like these different items and go through different levels. I need to buy them again on PC because I had them all deleted.
like a Where's Waldo, but instead of Waldo, it's something else.
Yeah, and it's like all these cool different custom themes, and you have to go through the list and find these specific items in like this clutter screen.
Yeah, that's cool. But a really quick reverse for a second. If any viewer out there knows of a game like we just asked about, please feel free to share that with us because I really want to know.
So, are you just talking about word search battle royale like Tetris 99, or are you
Well,
looking for just like a word search PvP?
Yeah, PvP, just a one-on-one. I think a battle royale would be too much because then I feel like I'll never win. But if it's just like a one, like me versus you, like let's go. You know,
Well, if you
search.
want a game like that, it's called Scrabble.
No, Scrabble is no. Scrabble is totally different.
I
I
know.
do love Scrabble because then they have words with friends. But no, Scrabble is totally different. No. This is word search. You both players get the same template. Word pops, go. First one to find it, okay, points. And first to 10 words fucking wins. Like, dude, that'd be fucking so awesome.
That would be. I would like that. There actually is a Scrabble on here though, and you can play versus somebody else. And I actually do play with somebody else sometimes.
Yeah, I had Words with Friends downloaded on my phone for a little bit, and not while it was hot. So like, you know, you could have like a dozen games going at once. Like I could have a game go with you, a game with so and so, XYZ. And that was cool for a little bit, but then you get people that take like days to respond to just put their word down, and it kind of sucked after a while. But
Or they have a dictionary encyclopedia to throw you off.
yeah. That's not fun. But yeah. So just that's all you've been playing?
Yeah, I know next week when time frees up, I definitely want to play more games. Like, I know we've talked about this, I think maybe last episode about Among Us, or maybe we talked in private, but
Oh, yeah.
I want to play more Among Us. Dude, they released a game called Hide and Go Seek, and I think I played like 2 weeks ago, and dude, I want to play it again so much. It's just, even solo, without talking to anybody, it's fun. I'd love to get even just 3 people together and just coordinate.
That's cool. Do they still only have, do you know, do they still only have 4 maps, or do they got more than 4 now?
It's like
The Airship was the last one, I thought. Did they have another one after Airship?
honestly, I can't remember. I didn't really look. I just play the game modes because on
Gotcha.
console it's a little bit more limited. You can do crossplay with other people, but I've only played with console people. But I know on PC, if you play the custom versions, there's more maps, more game modes, more everything.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah,
So wait, so PC and console can't play with each other?
they can if they play the
they can, okay,
if they
thank
play
God.
the base game from the developers, they can play together. But if
Okay.
PC goes use their custom mods and stuff like that, then they can't play with console. Because there's only certain game modes that are only on all systems.
Gotcha. Cool. Yeah, I want to start playing that a little bit more myself. Those were some fun days. But like, I don't know why. Like, I mean, I loved it. I don't know why it brings me back to like playing basketball. That's a very, very weird comparison. But like, friends that I would play with, we could get so mad, and it's like, it's a game, guys. Like, calm down.
Would they really get? Wait, did you play other times? What? No, I wasn't there.
Oh yeah.
And they really got mad?
Like some of them get mad, and I'm like, are we cool? like the whole game is about lying. Like, what the fuck, man? Like,
Yeah, dude, it's so weird because like I tried to get some other people, like some streamer friends to play with. All of them said no. I think I asked like 6 people, and they said no. Everybody always blames me. I'm like, that's the whole point. You gotta figure out how to play the game.
That's the whole point. Like, does it suck? Maybe sometimes you're like the one that's getting ganged up on. I don't know. Maybe, yeah, of course. I don't think anybody likes to feel that way, but like, it's a game. Like, you gotta learn how to play it.
But to be fair, I do know that there's people out there that purposely ruin the game that only. Did you point it at me or somebody else?
No. Somebody else. Go. Keep going.
Okay, because I was gonna say, like there was a guy we were playing with one time where he would always purposely try to take himself off. I'm like, just play it normally. Try to play like Guess Who. And he was like, no, I'm the imposter. I'm like, dude, we're just going to vote you out. We know you're not the imposter. It's like some people try a third imposter, or they always vote that same person up because they have a weird hard-on for that person.
Yeah. I just, like, things that I don't like, though, is, like, when you get, like, a I guess you could call it a team, like a couple or something, not like an actual couple, but a
Oh,
twosome
yeah.
join, and then they start playing double imposter just to like help each other out, and like that to me is kind of annoying, but it is what it is. I mean, you can't stop them for doing that, so.
My favorite is when we all play together, me, you, your brother, Ivan, and some other people. And for some reason, I think you guys had some kind of weird vendetta against me because I would usually win as imposter. So every time something, even if it's like the slightest suspicion, and I wasn't the guy, you'd be like vote out immediately. And I would just laugh.
Yeah, and then like to that point, sometimes it happens too, where the vendetta aspect, where it's like, oh, we're just gonna vote this person out, like we don't care. But it happens. I think that's what makes it fun, though.
Yeah,
Like, oh, like fuck, like I'm not the imposter. Now you guys just fucked yourselves. So
and it
it is
also
what it
is
is.
fun too. Trying like, let's say if somebody does have suspicion on you and
Mhm.
they think you're the imposter, somehow figuring out how to persuade somebody off of that is also fun because it's a challenge to persuade somebody. Like if they're so fixated on you, it's a challenge to get them off of that. And
Mhm.
if you don't
Mhm.
succeed, then you have to lay a trap for the next person.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. No, I definitely miss playing it. We'll have to set that up again. I mean, we said that already for 2 weeks, but I mean, we got time.
Yeah,
Game's gonna be around forever, so.
yeah,
Um.
2 years and it's still going strong.
Yeah. Well, I mean, technically, it's been out more than that. It just pretty much got popular, like super popular in 2 years. But
This is very true.
I would really love to try the VR version. Like that would be that would be fun.
Dude, I have a VR. I have two VRs actually. I should really do that because I don't think it's expensive. I think it's cheap. I think I might do that just for the fun of it.
Do it, and then you probably wait. Yeah, then you gotta come over by me and bring them.
Well, I don't know if I can because my brother's VR, so that's up to him.
Oh, okay. Well, even if it's just one, we could take turns. Like I just want to experience it. Like, and who knows? Maybe it might push me over the edge and actually buy it.
Maybe you can come over here later on, then we can play the VR. That's if he allows it.
All right. Well,
But
we'll have to set up that play date.
yeah, but yeah, I mean, yeah, next week I'm hoping to play a lot more games because I've been missing gaming, man. It's like there's so many things I want to play. Like High on Life came out, I played a little bit of that. Want to play more? Just time, man. I hate to use that excuse because time is really if you can manage it. And
Now you know how I feel.
well, no. So usually I can manage it well, but because there's such a strict time period on what I have to do certain things, and it's not for me, it's for someone else. So it's like that's why I'm even more cautious. And but hopefully that lessens up soon because I do want to play more.
So yeah. So with all that said, I'm sure a lot of these plans are somewhat derailed due to weather. Maybe I don't know. Are yours?
Well, yes, because of moving, we actually had to postpone the last 2 days because of this cold weather. But because of this cold weather, it's given me a chance to finally play games, which was word search and those little mini games. Because before, I was just so busy, and because of the cold, it's actually given me a little bit more free time. So I'm thankful for the cold, but unfortunately, I know it's affecting a lot of other people in a not so positive way. So, I guess whoops, hold on, wrong topic on. I totally just realized that I set this up beforehand. I forgot to switch. Um,
Oh.
so I can't really speak for every other state because I don't know. But for Chicago, the last 2 days, it's been the negatives, like -2, -3. But I think with the wind chill, it's reached like -35, which is pretty cold, especially going from like 30-degree weather to immediate below zero. That's pretty drastic. It definitely hurts when you're outside for a long period of time. But
Yeah.
supposedly other places are getting hit worse than we are. Steve, I'm not sure if you want to elaborate more on that because I haven't really researched.
Yeah, so like Josh was saying, one of the topics we wanted to discuss today was the big winter weather warnings, advisory, whatever you want to call it, pretty much throughout the whole country. There's very few places that are really being unaffected by this. Um, so locally, like all this week, I rarely been following weather lately, but all this week, they're like big storm coming, Thursday, Friday. And one day they said projected 10 to 12 plus inches of snow, mile per hour winds at 50 plus, and then super cold, polar vortex. And then the next day they dropped the snow rate by like half. And don't want to get off the rails about meteorologists, but I feel like it's the best job in the world because you get paid very good money to predict. And if you're wrong, you don't lose your job. But anyways,
Hold on, I do kind of want to go on this because one thing I found out about
uh huh.
meteorologists, you know how they say it's like a 40% chance to rain? That means it's 100% going to rain. It's only a 40% chance it's going to rain in your area. I found that out recently. That they know it's going to rain, they're just predicting where it's going to rain.
I have never heard that before.
I didn't know about that either until like a year and a half ago when I was watching stuff about meteorology. They said
That's
we know it's going to rain. We know that as a fact. We just are trying to predict where it's going to rain.
that's that still seems so fucking vague. Like out of all the technology we have in the world these days.
Yes, that's how they know it's going to like happen. That's why they give you like a percentage.
But with
Like,
that said, like the fact that you can't like have that much precision to know the exact geographic location and exact times or whatever. Like I don't know. Like the other thing I read a while ago, and I apologize if this isn't factual, but I had thought that I read something before where the satellites, like we use other country satellites to check out ours, and other countries uses ours or something like that. I don't know if you've ever heard about that.
yeah, we also do that for checking like solar winds and all that stuff in outer space
Yeah,
too.
which is also like I don't understand, the
Well,
reason behind that
there's
because I'm
there's
not a
diff-
meteorologist, but
there's different
I
satellites that work as like kind of like a UN thing where multiple countries work together because it's not for a government and political reasons. It's just for observation and science. That's why
mm,
they can collaborate in that scale.
yeah. So with that said, yeah, I didn't hear about that. To me, that just makes it even more funny.
Well, so
Like,
I
yeah,
I
there's
know
gonna be
it's
sunshine today. We just don't know where the cloud's gonna go over this way and this way. So your area might not have full sunshine, and you
well,
like I
see,
don't know.
if you look at it like this is from my understanding. They look at the the geographic area. They see they see the condensity of the storm. Like was it the nimbus cloud, cumulus, whatever the rain cloud is. They
Hmm.
see it and they know it's going to rain. But each area gets a different percentage. Like let's say
Yeah,
in your area they can say 30% chance of rain. That means there's 30% chance it's going to rain in your area, but another area is going to be like 90% chance because they could see it clumping up in the area where it most likely will rain super soon.
I understand that, but at some point, right? These clouds shift and they move.
Yeah.
So from this time span to this time span is going to be 30%, but then from that time span an hour into after that, your 30% increases to 70 or maybe even to 100, I don't know. And then you get an hour of like really bad thunderstorms and then it's gone. I mean, once again, I'm not trying to shit on it, but like I know they do a really damn good job, but like I feel nowadays a lot of these projections are much higher than they actually are.
I think
Which
it's
I guess
case
is kind
by
of fine because it makes you want to prepare mentally and physically for the worst. But then, like when I build, for example, like yesterday and today, I build my days around staying indoors, which is
mm,
fine. When I looked out the window yesterday, I believe it was about 1 p.m. It looked really bad, really bad. Like couldn't see past the expressway that's nearby. I was like, okay, I definitely don't want to be driving into that. But the projections was it was supposed to start in the evening and last all the way up until probably even now or even further than now. But it got cleared in the evening, and it, from my visual, my eye check, looks fine. And it's like, well, fuck, I could have went out and did grocery shop. I still could have, like, but I did stop myself. But like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like those are the things I dislike.
So my
Um,
question is, like, I totally understand what you do because I do that too.
mhm.
Do you check it only once and just hold that prediction for the whole day, or do you live check it where they constantly update the prediction?
uh, yeah, I don't really do live checking
Well, see, maybe
because,
that's the issue.
but that's the day of issue, right? one Hundred
Yeah.
percent. But when you're doing preparation issue, I don't know. I don't do live checking on prep. It's like, okay, no, I want to do this early. I want to have liquids in the fridge, this and that, all ready, food. So projections are there. But
The one thing that
yeah,
I think we cannot argue though is that usually when it comes to major catastrophic storms like hurricanes, tropical storms, earthquakes, whatever, they are really good at looking at turbulence and wind direction to see where that's at, and usually within an hour time period they can guess when the storm's going to hit. Like they're usually very accurate about stuff like that because that is more definitive proof than when guessing with rain. Because rain, you're just looking at the cloud, observing and seeing the density and seeing if it's going to fall or not. But with
yeah.
like heavy storms, are usually almost 100% accurate every single time when it's going to hit, what it's going to do, where it's going to go.
I don't know, maybe. Like I said, I think overall they do a really damn good job, right? Accuracy could be a little distorted, but that's fine. As long as I think it's better obviously to err on the side of caution and scare people with whatever projections are than under predict and then people are not prepared. So I could
Yeah,
definitely get behind that, 100%. But to that point, you're talking about storms, so that had another effect on this whole um, winter weather issue because Storm Elliott hit the East Coast and like Queens, New York is flooded. Um, Ohio,
not to cut you off, Storm Elliott, because I haven't done research on this. Is that a hurricane, tropical storm? Is this a blizzard?
it's a very good question. I don't know. I don't know that much. I don't know. All I know is it's called Storm Elliott and it hit the East Coast.
Okay.
So like Maine through New York, all that, Boston got hit pretty bad. So they're dealing with actual flooding. And then Ohio, um, they have a real they had like a 50 plus car expressway pileup where I think only from last I read one person passed in between like Toledo and Cleveland. Um, once again, I got the view of expressway with me, and I not that I want to see a pileup, but I kept my eyes out and make sure everything looked like it was okay. Um, and yeah, the negative temperatures are reaching like even like I don't know if Texas is in the negative. I don't think Texas is in the negative, but they are definitely in freezing temperatures, and also parts of I think Upper Florida, West Coast too, very very cold. So yeah, it's just like really really crazy. I actually took a picture of the map on my phone that um, this I know a couple years ago we had something called the polar vortex. Um, I don't know what they're dubbing this, but well, some parts of California, I guess, are still in the 40s, but yeah, single digits all the way up until Arkansas, Mississippi. Yeah, Texas really, some of them are in the single digits. Highest is like 25, so Texas ain't liking that. That's for damn sure. I don't think they got snow though. I think the snow is mostly the Midwest and then East. But before we got hit, like my folks out in Wisconsin, they got hit with over a foot. The tree fell and they lost their power for like 12 hours. So,
Ooh, in this
but
condition, that's really bad. But
yeah,
I'm looking at it right now because I didn't do any research on this, unfortunately, until now. Hopefully, as you're talking about Texas, hopefully they are more prepared this time because I know in 2020 when they had none of the issue like this, it was pretty devastating for them. Like they were out of power for days. A lot of people were freezing and they had to use stove and all, or they're basically make fires in their house so they could stay warm because of just powers being out. So hopefully they are more prepared this time because I know last time horrible management from the people running that area. So I hope the systems are safe. But I was looking at Storm Elliott. Storm Elliott is the winter storm that's hitting, and because I know you're saying polar vortex. I think polar vortex was 2011, and I think we only had one of those. And I was trying to look up the difference between a polar vortex and a bomb cyclone, and apparently, so no, because like I don't know any of this. So I guess a polar vortex is usually when the Arctic temperatures from uh what's above us is it Antarctica or Arctic?
well, Canada,
No, what's above Canada?
Canada.
No, Antarctica is on the bottom. I think it's Arctica that's on top of us. And also I found out that each of the names means one's with bears, one's without bears. But that's besides the point. So a polar vortex is when the Arctic winds come down and swoop in with the equator winds, and that's causing this massive storm. But a bomb cyclone is when a huge circulation of air drops rapidly, causing cold drops to happen like this, and that's what we're currently having is a bomb cyclone through half of the U.S.
Mm,
Because of just a rapid drop in pressure with all these currents coming at the same time. And a cyclone is just air pressure happening all together, but it's consistent.
mm. Well, it won't be consistent for long because talking about not that we're going to leave this topic, but I did some forward weather research. Now, this is just our region. I don't know about the rest of the country, but we're going to be in the 50s next week all over again. So it's like, what the fuck? Like, this is how people get sick, man. I thought I was waking up sick yesterday and today because these number drops. But yeah, I know there's also, I forgot what exact locations, but there are billions, at least there were early today, billions of people without power already. So to your point with the whole Texas thing, like hopefully they are better prepared, but not just them, but there's a lot of southern countries, states that are that way. Um, because they don't have plow trucks like we do, they don't do salting like we do. So when they don't have those tools, uh, nobody gets out on the road. And if they do, they're being very they're just toying with their life at that point. I feel
Yeah.
because everything's slick and slippery. Like I don't even think ambulances and fire trucks want to go out during those times, if memory serves me correct. So it gets pretty bad.
Yeah, hopefully they did learn from 2 years ago because that was a really horrible. I would call that catastrophe for them.
No, it is. I believe, if memory serves me correct, the president actually labeled it a what is it called?
Emergency something, national emergency,
Natural disaster
natural.
zone. Natural disaster zone, I think is what it's called, right?
Yeah, they had to send
Or
FEMA and
disaster
stuff like
zone.
that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Oh, I was
I
wrong. It's
haven't
not
heard.
2011. It's 2014 when the polar vortex happened.
I don't think I've heard any of that stuff coming out yet, but it wouldn't surprise me after maybe today. And it's going to be a very cold Christmas. It's going to stay in the single digits and probably with wind chill, probably feel below. So that's going to suck. But a lot of people want their white Christmas. So congratulations. Y'all got it.
So, I know this is going to be kind of a touchy subject. Do you think all these hard conditions are because of climate change, or do you think
Yes,
it's?
I felt we were going to segue into that.
So I have my theory, only
Yeah, go
because
ahead.
I this is just a theory. I'm not a scientist. I can't back this up too much. But you know how scientists always say our Earth is evolving, we're constantly changing. Volcanoes change the magnetic course. The poles, our magnetic poles, the north and south poles, are also shifting, and they've always
Yes,
shifted. They
they've
shift like
always shifted.
inches at a
Yep,
time.
every year. Yep.
I'm convinced because of these shifts that always happen, it changes air currents, changes water currents, causing different regions to have different weather patterns now. Like before, according to scientists, I don't know about this. I'm just, you know, saying what they said. That
Mm-hmm.
the Antarctic was actually more like the desert at one point. It wasn't an all ice cape. It was actually like sand, heat, whatever. And the equator was where the
Ice
snow
or
was.
hopeless. Yep.
Yeah, like the continent, same thing. You had Pangea, the
Yep.
mega continent, and all that stuff.
Yep.
So I don't think, and obviously I know I could be wrong, but I think that climate change is an issue. I think it's just our planet evolving into a next stage, causing these different climates to happen at a pace that we're not used to because we haven't lived during the evolution phase.
So not a sensitive subject for me. I felt like we would segue into this, if I'm being honest. So that's kind of why I brought it up as a topic. I um, concur with what your assessment is. I It's not that I don't subscribe to global warming and climate change and all that shit. Um, I feel like the human race does have a play and a part in it. Like we can. I don't feel like we're large enough to actually control it that much. But do we have a swing in those things? I would say so.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's a swing in which we're causing catastrophes to happen.
No.
I don't. That's where I do not buy into it. Should we be doing a better job as a human race? 100% yes. But everything you said is science, right? Like I mean, people are always going to dispute everything that comes out, but um, but there is a lot of research done that shows and proves a lot of that stuff. Um, is it just that? Is it so crazy to believe that we're living in that time when you're talking about like an ice age, where it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in a year. It might even take
It happens
multiple.
over thousands of years.
Well, not only that, that's yeah. I was going to say it could be multiple generations here where this actual shift is happening, where you may see. Well, okay, ice caps are melting. Facts. People want to blame it on global warming and stuff. Once again, could do a better job, but is it really our fault? I find that very hard to believe. I cannot subscribe to that. I can't.
and I also with the ice cap melting, people are like the water will rise. For me, obviously not a scientist, I don't know if this is true, but if you look at a bottle of or sorry, a cup of water, you put water in there, you put ice. You put ice in there, the water levels, but if the ice goes away, the water drops. Wouldn't that work with the ocean too? Where if you take away the landmass in the water, instead of it rising, it goes down because there's nothing there to build that pressure up.
Yeah, no, that's a very eloquent way of pointing that out. And it's true. Like, I mean, both ways you would see. I think when you have it to dispute what you said, if it's an ice cap and it's basically hovering there, right? Not all of the volume is in the water level. Some of it is obviously above. So when it melts, it's going to sink and therefore rise. So it's actually just bobbing there in a sense. So therefore, it's not creating. To your point, if you put it in something, whatever, a pot, right? You throw your mac and cheese in the pot, it's gonna rise. That's my metaphor. It's gonna rise, fact. But if it were to float, right? Now it's not rising, it's floating. So I think that's the dispute to what you're saying versus since it's melting, well, now it's turning out to liquid, therefore it would rise. But with that said, wouldn't I mean maybe this evidence is out there. It's actually might be fun to actually research and think, but like then wouldn't you see certain islands probably just be consumed with water? Maybe, I don't know. Like, won't they go under? Wouldn't they sink, or would the islands continue to float? I don't
Well,
know.
it,
Like
it,
these,
with landmass, it's case by case because
right?
the reason
Okay.
why landmasses happen is because volcanic eruptions cause land to form, causing it to rise, and then also because of old land, settling and then being degraded or deteriorated underwater because of the water just beating against it, then it starts falling. So land will always rise and fall depending on the age and how new it is. So I don't know if that really affects water because land islands in the ocean form all the time because of underwater volcanoes causing pressure to cause that mass to rise.
I think that does too, for sure. I mean, there's so many different elements that affect, I think, water levels. But yeah, to kind of circle back here. Yeah, I don't subscribe to the whole global warming thing. Um,
So before we move on to that, I'm sorry if I'm cutting off completely,
no,
but I'm not. If I was to believe in global warming, it wouldn't be our effect on climate, even though we do play a part in it. Because during COVID, when we had the restrictions, you know, I know documentaries aren't the best way to say this, but what I've learned is 70 years worth of pollution went away in 2 weeks. Because apparently clams or oysters wanted to is able to, because of how their filtration works, able to basically purify water. That's why the waters in Italy were so clean in their canals and all that stuff. Because these natural animals figured out a way to take CO2 or O2, whatever the carbon dioxide thing is in pollution. They figured out how to convert that into normal stuff to make other animals live. Um, but if I was to believe in global warming and our effect in it, it'd be resource consumption. It wouldn't be our
I
effect on the environment. It'd be us using too much water, polluting it so we can't drink. Other animals can drink because they can convert seawater, but we couldn't. And also using too much, you know, fuel, paper, whatever. Because we plant it, even though we try our best to cut down and then repurpose it. I don't think we're doing a good enough job to constantly replenish the resources we're consuming. Like metal, for example, is the best thing. We do a lot of excavating, mining, and all that stuff for these minerals, but because we use so much of it and we also discard a lot of that stuff, we're not recycling it, causing these massive tech issues that we're having now because of these minerals being so scarce now. So I believe our resource consumption is our biggest threat compared to our effect on the environment.
I think that's also true as well. But you triggered something else. What you just said with the ecosystem. I I think that's where we also have disruption because you brought up the how like because of COVID when people were forced to actually stay indoors and isolate. Uh, to your point, like I think Los Angeles was a perfect example with the pollution and how how much clearer their skies got. And you brought up Italy. I think it was Venice. The canals. They actually had dolphins show up the first time. That didn't happen in like decades or something. So yeah, I think humans definitely do have an impact on the ecosystem. Um,
But it was just so
much,
crazy how it returned to normal within like 2 to 3 weeks. How it almost purified itself that quickly.
yeah, it is amazing. I think, and it's funny because I was actually looking at another potential topic, but I think how good it was. But I'll segue it into here because it involves the ecosystem. But there, I forgot what states it's happening in, but they're actually hunting wolves, and wolves have a big impact on the ecosystem.
Yeah, because they kill other animals. Like Alaska's one of them, where they get paid to hunt wolves.
Yeah, but I'm saying if you kill too many, you could do harm to the ecosystem
Oh.
because there's a balance. I mean, there's a circle of life thing that goes
Well,
on.
same thing with hogs in the Midwest and all of the U.S. There's a lot of wild hogs that kill other animals like rabbits. Um, uh, I may be saying it wrong, but there's like some kind of bird creature that they eat, and that's why people are get paid to hunt these wild hogs because of how they're just decimating all these other animals.
Yeah, and well, no, that part's and once again, and that's now how the human race comes in to create balance, right? So
Yeah.
as much as we harp on the imbalances we have, there's obviously a lot of good that we've done because we always have a hand in restoring balance. Now, there's places where we could do better with that, but that is not going to affect the winter storms that are happening right
Yeah,
now.
sorry, I got
that
off topic. I
that
just wanted to ask
no, no,
about
no,
that.
no. It's not. No, no. I didn't mean that way. I'm glad we went all around and touched all those bases because that was my goal when I brought this up because I felt like we would do that anyway. But yeah, everything we said, like I don't think that's going to change these type of storms that happen. It's just this is the clear definition of Mother Nature. If global warming, I know they say this like global warming is not going to happen. Like people have this misconception of global warming being like the entire planet is going to rise in temperature. Not necessarily. I think like I mean I feel like that's the clear definition of global warming, but until that happens, I cannot believe in it because when you have certain areas rising in temperature, but you have other areas that are dropping, that to me subscribes the theory of a polar shift because that's the world turning.
And I could also
Um,
be wrong here too, if to add on to your point. But like I said, I'm not a scientist, so I'm just going off of what I've
yeah,
seen, what I've heard. But
right.
supposedly the reason why temperatures are different in so many areas is because the magnetic force in the air, the ozone, I believe it's what's called, taking those solar rays and locking into the planet with that protective bubble, causing that heat to be sustained. Compared to if the zone is thinner, that's where it might be colder or it might be warmer because it's not protected by, you know, that shield that we have, that magnetic shield that we have.
Yeah, like you said, you're not a scientist. I'm not a scientist. I don't know, but like counteract that, like you would like think of our coldest places, right, on this planet. Aren't they the most inhabited, so therefore the most natural state? No pollution. You know what I'm saying? Like, so don't you think they shouldn't be as cold by everything you're saying? Like having a more secure ozone layer or more thicker ozone. I don't know, but once again, we're sounding like a
I'm
bunch of
not. I'm
idiots
not
here.
saying. I'm not saying that we play effect. I'm saying because of how nature plays. Because the magnetic force is a big part of how we are protected. It protects us from solar rays
Right.
and radiation,
Oh
and all that
yeah.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, where the poles are, which is the Arctics, that's where the magnetic field is the strongest because that's where they are. That's where, for some reason, the
As
planet
less
decides
sun
to.
gets in. Yeah, that
Yeah,
makes sense. Mm-hmm. Now I'm following you. Yeah. Hmm.
and also if you look at it too, that's also where the clouds like to gather. If you look at like a 3D image or like a satellite image, if you look at the clouds, it's always on the poles. Like it always looks like a hurricane's always going on there. But if you're a want to say the Earth is flat, then you know, then you could say I'm
Good,
wrong.
good, good luck to you. We will not segue into that.
But yeah, no, I mean, obviously, I don't know, and scientists are always coming up with new finds and research. So, I mean, what we think may be correct now or maybe wrong now, may be different later. So, just watching how this happens, it's just when we look at this, COVID, I think, was maybe the best example of how we thought we were playing such a huge impact and how easily Mother Nature was able to revert our changes in such a quick time.
Yeah, I think that's I mean really astonishing and also magnificent. Like when those things did happen, because it's like it's mind blowing. Like what? Like and then to your point, then it just reverted back so quickly because of us, because of humans.
Yeah, but it'd be interesting because like I'm not sure. I mean, if I was to add personal story through all this, like when I was a kid,
Mm-hmm.
winter would always happen like late November, happens through like December where it snows, and then January would be like maybe the coldest, and it starts warming up in February. That
Mm-hmm.
seems like throughout my years, that
Mm-hmm.
time balance has shifted where now it's late December where it's gets cold, January and February is where it's the coldest, and then March is where it warms up. It's almost like it's shifting in that short calendar period.
Correct. In our lifetime. And you I know I'm sure you maybe you've heard, but I've heard like in the past, like I don't know, I want to say it was the 70s or some shit.
Oh, where it
They had like
snowed. Oh,
yeah, like they had like this, huge but it was like one drop. That was it. I think I'm not last year. I would have to go fact check this, but I know recently I thought our local area broke some sort of snowfall records, and it's like, and to me, it didn't feel like
oh,
it was a
2014 was our biggest record with that polar vortex, having that much snow. I know New York recently hit a record with that 7 foot snowfall they had.
yeah. So like once again, it's like I mean, whether or not someone probably could school us with the whole global warming thing, but like whether or not that is having an effect, I don't know, but
But I
I
think we
just
could also chalk it up to anomalies too, because like there's times, like you said, the
oh for
70s.
sure.
Maybe it's not the 70s, but like I know there was a period where my mom said she experienced it being almost 60 or 70 on Christmas Day, where they're out in shorts, and that's pretty warm for December. But
Very
then,
warm.
but then there's also been times where it snowed in July.
Yeah.
So there's anomalies, and obviously they weren't
I don't know about.
consistent.
I don't remember snow in July. I know April
Well,
for
it
sure.
wasn't in our time. This was
Oh, not in our
way
time.
before.
Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha,
Yeah, we weren't
gotcha.
even alive during that time.
Yeah. So okay. So put that mindset on, right? Like we recently just hit eight. What was it? 8 billion humans on this planet.
Mm.
I can't imagine there was. I mean, that's a record, right? So how many billions of people might have been living in the 70s? So with all the technology that didn't exist and things that they didn't do, like no one was screaming global warming then. It probably those two words probably didn't even go together. Like I don't know. Like I just think to your point, there's anomalies. I do definitely believe in the shift, the polar shifting. Because once again, that's science. Although people argue global warming, there's also science.
Hmm.
but but yeah, it's not that it remains a mystery, but ironically enough, during this big storm, I haven't heard that term come up at all.
What, global or polar?
No, global warming. Like I haven't seen it pop up anywhere,
I think over the
which
years,
which is pretty funny because it was a big thing before COVID. Then COVID took over.
well, I think because during that short time span, people have, well, when I say people, articles I've read, scientists are more coming out with it's not global warming, it is polar shifts that's causing this.
Mm, interesting.
Maybe that's why it's changing mindsets. But
Maybe,
I could be wrong. I don't know.
but there's
Um,
like not that we're gonna go into politics, but there's so much of a political push and political money revolve around global warming and the topic
oh,
thereof.
yeah, there's always agendas behind every research, like
Yeah,
the Green New Deal or nuclear fusion or all that stuff. Like you can go off
exactly,
on that. But
exactly.
during these times of cold, I'm not sure if you have any personal stories about this, but I know
Mm-hmm,
when we had that polar vortex in 2014,
mm-hmm,
obviously during these times, it's very rough for people,
mm-hmm.
but also in a weird way, it's a time where people come together. Because I know when we had,
You're
when,
forced to.
well, yeah, kind of because they're
Like
forced to, but it's
no,
also,
but I know what you're talking about. Like humanitarian, like you want to check up on your neighbors, you want to make sure that their powers or they're warm. And you're talking about stuff like that.
yeah. Because
Yeah,
like I
exactly.
know in
No, 100%.
2014 when we had that polar vortex here in the street, like you
Mhm.
couldn't go out for like a couple days, like the streets were so bad, even snowplows couldn't come out. So people were trying to, go in the cars, run. They would get stuck because of just so much snow. I remember being out 2 days in a row, out there for almost 12 hours, helping people shovel their cars out because they're stuck. Like, I remember a lot of people thanking me. I even got free pizza out of this because there's a delivery guy that, for some reason, had delivered pizza in this horrible storm. And because, he got stuck in the snow, I was helping him shovel. My brother was helping him shovel. He said, you know what, this pizza's going to be cold anyways. I'm just going to give it to you guys. He gave us two big pizzas and wings in the pot that he had in the car, and he's like, I'll just go back and get another one. But, just helping all these random people out. I wasn't expecting any gifts. I was just helping out. But because of that, people appreciate and they showed something back in return. I'm not saying that you should expect rewards. I'm just saying do nice enough stuff. Maybe something like that might happen. But, seeing our neighbors come out, shoveling each other's stuff, helping people push their cars off the snowbanks and all that stuff. It was weird to have that sense of community that we usually never have, unless if there's like a situation like this.
Yeah, no, you definitely do see a lot of that. Unless you see also people killing each other over savesies or whatever the fuck is called.
Wait, what?
What is it called? Savesies or savies?
I don't know what
People.
that is.
Oh, come on! You definitely should know. You're in fucking Chicago. When people claim their fucking their parking spots with chairs and shit, although it's supposed to be illegal now.
I never heard of I know where you put like your chairs, plastic bins, or whatever out there. Yeah, I know that, but I never heard them call them savesies. It's just reserving your spot.
Yeah, I thought people call them savesies or something.
I've never heard that word.
Yeah, or maybe there's a different term for it, but I know there's different. Yeah, there's a coining for it. But yeah, because people have gotten fucking shot over that shit. It's dumbass people. But like, I mean, I get it though. Like, if you fucking put out the labor to shovel your spot, and then some fucking dickhead comes and takes your spot that you shoveled, fucking sucks. Like, yeah. I get it. But
usually there's like an unspoken rule where usually you claim one or two spots in front of your house or by your house, and once that's there, no one touches it. But if someone does touch it, like you said, that's when a fight will break up because you put that work in to get it out.
Yeah. Like, there was a year to kind of mirror your conversation. I forgot, and this was a long time ago. I fucking shoveled, not the whole block, but like, well, it was probably the equivalent of block because I did both sides, like halfway, my side and the other side. I fucking shoveled the whole fucking street. Because for that reason, I was just, people were just like stop fucking claiming shit. Just, I'll fucking do the shit. Park wherever, but yeah, you're right. People do tend to come together. You see, like you said, a car with their hazards on the side of the road. More people are more willing to pull over, make sure they're okay. And if they say yeah, then you keep moving. If they say no, you tend to help out. Yeah, a lot of that does happen for sure. You do see a lot of good come out of people.
Yeah, and it's weird because, like, it's weird when you really put people in a bind. People always, like, obviously the COVID thing where people were trampling over each other for, like, paper towels and all that stuff. For some reason, that, to me, was an anomaly because most of the time when there's real, actual, like, calamities, like natural environments, disasters, whatever, people are usually more helpful than they are selfish, which is weird. Which is a good thing, in my opinion. But I've seen more good than bad when it comes to situations like these.
Yeah, that's very interesting that you mentioned that because you are right. Not only that, but you also had people hoarding, trying to flip and make a buck, but then the government stepped in on that.
Yeah,
I can remember reading a couple.
Putting a limit of one per buy. Well, that happened. Are you talking about during COVID?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know you could only buy like one thing of like disinfecting things, one roll of toilet paper. Like that was an effect here. I experienced that personally in like Walmart, Jewel, and all that stuff.
But that was the right move. I mean,
I agree.
You rationalize shit. But like I said, there's people out there that tried to make a buck on that. Yeah, capitalize on it, and they bought all the shit paper and then tried to fucking sell on eBay and all the hand sanitizer and all that stuff. And yeah, so
and usually karma comes back and gets them, even though I don't like to believe in karma because I believe it's you make your own luck. But like a lot of these scalpers that are did a lot of hoarding, a lot of them are getting hit negatively because they can't sell it because they overprice it because they're too selfish. So a lot of them eventually bankrupted themselves because they bought too much and they can't sell.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
I mean that's risk.
They deserve it.
Risk versus reward.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully everybody out there is staying warm, staying safe, and gets through this batch of storm. And I'm sure there's going to be another one.
Oh, there's always going to be another one. But it's also funny too, where people are either in a place of struggle or they're in a place of enjoyment. because I looked up, the cyclone, bomb cyclone, polar vortex, and all that stuff, and Storm Elliott. I'm seeing places in Vermont and in New York where people are having fun, bringing their snowmobiles out, their
Oh yeah.
skis, like they're enjoying their time because of the snow. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, it's funny where people would see like a negative and they turn to a positive, where they always just want to look in the bright side and how to take advantage, in a
Of
good way.
course. Yeah. I mean, because it brought up we brought up earlier. Some things are an anomaly, and for some places, this is that. So yeah, take advantage of it.
So, is there any more you want
Absolutely.
to add on this?
No, I feel like we touched all the bases that I felt we would touch up on. So yeah, just like I said, hopefully everyone out there is being safe and continue to be safe and warm. And feel free to drop a comment and let us know how it was by you, or dare I say even the bad stuff. But yeah, hopefully good stuff.
I want to see snowmen from this. But I guess we can move on to the next thing, which is also a potential catastrophe in itself, in my opinion, is Netflix stopping
Yeah.
password sharing. So I'm not against Netflix canceling their sharing plans because, because of people sharing their plans, Netflix has raised their prices drastically over the years. But I remember it being $7.99, now it's $17.99, and I have the base plan. And I know
Wow.
for some people it's $24.99 if they have like the 4K streaming and all that stuff.
So are you still grandfathered with that price or no more?
You've never been grandfathered in. I've been
Never. I
I
thought it was at the very beginning.
I've been with Netflix
No?
since its inception when they only did DVD rentals,
Wow.
and they
Yeah, yeah,
keep
yeah.
raising the prices.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I was misinformed. Okay, continue.
I mean, maybe in certain places they could do it, but like I said, I've been with them since the very beginning when they were doing DVD rentals, and I've never been grandfathered into anything, which is
Wow.
super annoying because I feel like customer loyalty should be a thing, especially if you've been with them for so long. But that's just personal business practice on them.
Yep.
But I'm hoping with one of two things. Obviously, this is hope. I don't know for a fact, but in 2023, Netflix is cutting down password sharing. Supposedly, data released is that this might affect over 1 million users. Um, which, if one thing happens, if they cut down the sharing, I hope it reduces prices. More new subscribers. They come in. I hope it reduces that price from 17.99 back to its lower settings. Like even 10 would be fine. But if they stay at an inflated price, but also cut down the sharing, that's going to be an issue. It's like they're only being selfish if they make this business move and keep that premium price the same without the sharing. So
Um,
yeah, go ahead.
oh, sorry, no, go ahead, finish your thought.
No, it's pretty much done.
Okay, so first and foremost, you mentioned, is this definitively going into effect in 2023?
Yep, yep.
Okay, it's just, do they have an exact date, or is it supposed to happen Jan 1?
I think it's well from what I read, it's very vague, but it seems like they're
Okay,
aiming for like the halfway point in 2023, where they're gonna just lock it down completely. If they notice your IP is from a different address, then they'll just lock it down from same household or whatever. I have a
gotcha.
feeling that there's gonna be some more issues that are coming from this later on, but
Hmm.
from what they said, that it seems like it's just gonna be locked down to your own household for sharing.
That's so crazy. So like, I get it. At some point, you shouldn't have it shared massively. I don't know what massively would be, 6, 12 different people. I don't know. I get that. Like that's just abusing it. That at a customer level, that's just abusing it. So that definitely should happen. But as we know, like a lot of people travel, or not even travel, but just like they have different mediums to log into their accounts: phone, TV, internet, multiple of all of those, laptop, gaming consoles, so many different ways. And if you're going to limit that, yeah, I don't like. It's definitely bad. Um, I'm not a subscriber, never was a subscriber, um, but yeah, I don't. And the scary part is they're the first to do this, right? Maybe. So this then could have a ripple effect on all the other streaming services out there as well.
Well, I think this is only a Netflix issue, and I could be wrong on this, but it
Okay.
seems like every other platform has it locked down where you have a set number where you can share. Like I think it's
Mm-hmm.
like total of 12, and it doesn't matter where they're at. It's just you can only share that device 7 times.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's why they haven't run into this issue. Well, I think Netflix before, I think they've been changing that. But I believe it was like 12 people you could share it with,
Mm-hmm.
and I think they're starting to reduce that number. But I think going back to what you're saying, I think their only solution is not to lock it down to a household. It's lock it down to maybe a limit of 5 to 6 devices,
Mm-hmm.
because
See,
that
but
realistically makes more sense.
even though it makes more sense, like it's still there still has to be a way for a customer to, or should be a way for a customer to like drag one out, pluck a new one in.
Yeah,
And maybe with like I don't know, can't think of the right terminology used. I was gonna say a cooldown period, but like at some point your devices are decommissioned as well, right? Like you get a new computer, you get a new TV, whatever. I mean, like as a customer, you have to have that ability at some point.
well, you can log out at least for now. And I know other systems do this, but usually when they limit it, it's when I say streaming, I'm talking about 5 devices at the same time. I think you can have unlimited devices logged in, but you can only have 5 people watching
Oh,
at one given time.
gotcha. Okay, now that changes the complexity.
I don't know if this applies to Netflix, but I know this applies to other stuff like Amazon, HBO Max, where they limit how much you can stream at one time.
Interesting. So wait, so you're saying you don't know then how this is working, or
Well, from one of the articles I read, I don't know how credible it is.
yeah,
They said they're locking it down to household, which doesn't make any sense to me because that would
no,
be very limiting.
yeah,
I'm assuming they're going to lock it down to 5 or 6 devices at one time
yeah.
where you can
Just to
watch.
assume those are all in the household.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that would make the logical sense. Hmm, interesting.
But I think they're
Well,
also taking, from another article I read, don't know how true this is, but they're
uh-huh,
also going to do geopositioning, which I don't know how that works, where
uh-huh.
if they see you're in 2 states at
At
a
the
weird
same
time,
time,
yeah,
and yeah, that would make sense. That would make sense. Because the way I was just thinking about it right now, like where it doesn't make sense is if you lock them just to their household geographic location. Because like I said, people do
travel.
travel.
Mm,
So if you have it to like, I'm going to compare this to your like, I guess for I'll just use myself example, like my checking account. I'm going to tell my bank when I'm traveling so they could unlock me knowingly that I'm going to use my card out of state. So it's not going to be um, freaking
flagged.
yeah, like a fraudulent charge.
Mm.
Um, Otherwise, it will if I don't notify them. So I think that it would be more. They would probably have to hire more people, or I don't know if they could do it automated, but like that would probably be one resolution. But then it kind of like I guess turns you off for that home, and if you still have family at home, then they can't use it. So I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, this is one of the ones that I was looking at. I'm like, you know, as much as when they, people are like, saying, oh, password sharing, I think their only real solution from this, which I have a feeling they're going to do because it would make most sense, especially since other
Mm-hmm,
companies are doing this,
mm-hmm,
is don't have any limit on amount of numbers of devices that they can log into. Have a limit on how many they're streaming at one time,
yeah,
because that one would cut your force down. And even if they were sharing, let's say I gave it to my grandma or whatever, and even if I was, it would still hinder me because that means I can't watch it if 2 other people are watching at the same time.
mm-hmm,
So yeah, it'd be weird, but from the article I read about like house locking, that'd be the one thing that doesn't make any sense to me because I feel like that's just too restrictive. And like
yeah,
I said, I don't know how credible that is. I just read one of the top articles that was the headline article. I think it was for uh, it might have been, if I remember correctly, I think it was like the Wall Street Journal, but they've also
mm,
been discredited a couple times from that.
mm-hmm.
So,
Interesting.
but I definitely know that they're going to be looking at geopositioning as a fact because it seems like most of them are saying that they're going to see where these devices are being logged in, how often they're being logged in to gather data these next few months to see how that's going to affect them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this one, I mean, I'm just hoping that with this locking of sharing, it will reduce prices. If not, I feel like they're going to have another issue on their hands of why are they stopping the sharing if they're going to keep inflating prices.
Well, let me ask you this: if it's gonna, do you think it's gonna actually invoke more subscribers if they can't no longer inherit a password? because I don't think it will. I mean, I'm sure there will be some, but I don't think they're going to get this massive increase.
I think in order for them to get new subscribers, they have to lower down their prices because
Ex-
their prices compared to everybody other site, it's too expensive.
mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
Hulu and Disney, two different streaming services plus ESPN, I can get for $14.99 a month. That's three
Yeah.
streaming services for that
And very,
price.
very large services.
Yes, for $14.99, while Netflix by itself, even with just the normal model, is $17.99. And that's just its basic model. There's some that you can do with ads, and then there's obviously the 4K streaming, which is like $24 a month. That's just too expensive for a streaming service. Like no other services have that prices. I think that's where they need to look into this to get new subscribers, is lowering down their price so they can get more subscribers.
Yeah. No, I concur. Like, I mean, like when you say you hope that the prices are going to go down, I just personally don't foresee it. I mean, I would be floored, absolutely floored if that announcement ever comes out, and applaud them. But I've never ever come to see any type of company try to create um, a push to do something in order to lower the prices.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
and this is the weird thing with Netflix is that of all these streaming services, they seem to be the one company that has the least amount of restrictions coming to streaming worldwide. Like it seems like all these places, obviously they have movie rentals for different countries and all stuff. They're different from the U.S. or Europe or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
usually they have the same amount of rules going for all these countries. While Disney, they had to, for example, they don't have Hulu in Europe. Disney Plus is the Hulu combined. It's just one streaming service.
Mm.
So that's why Netflix, it's like they almost seem to be too greedy at this point because they have the least amount of restrictions, but yet the higher the price without the amount of content to really show for it. I mean, yeah, you could argue, some of these big shows like Stranger Things and all that stuff, but I feel like it doesn't equal that price yet.
They're probably like really, really testing their customer base because like they already have to have really good data to make a decision this way because like they kept raising their prices and yet there's been no stopping them from keeping doing it. So it's like I think their line of thought. I don't know how common this happens. I really don't. But if you
See
got
how
the
hard they can
password,
abuse them before they say no.
well, that's definitely part of it. But like when you deal with the password sharing, I wonder how often you have a pool of people be like, "Here's my $5. Here's my $5. Here's my $5."
I feel like that's kind of common. But obviously,
Yeah, and that's my point. Like I feel like that's probably a common thing, so people could afford it, or be more affordable. But this then goes against that philosophy.
mm,
So like it just got me thinking like, well, what kind of fucking data are they looking at to implement something like this? If I feel like there's a common approach to people sharing and putting a pot of money together to pay for said service, like man, that
yeah,
got me that
and
got me befuddled.
I think that's also why I wanted to bring this up to you because, like, I think this is where I hope because, people found it more economical to share and just all pitch in. That's why they
Mm-hmm.
bought it. If
Mm-hmm.
they lock this sharing thing out and they still keep that price, it's just going to keep discouraging more and more people from using their service. And
Mm-hmm.
I hope that Netflix isn't doing this for a greed standpoint, but to use it as a way to make it more accessible or economical for people to get new subscribers and also still make their money.
Yeah.
Because like I know for a fact, like Discovery Plus, for example, they have like over 20 channels, 30 channels, like all these different networks they own, and it's only like $7.99 a month. Is their streaming site good? No, because it crashes from time to time. But they have
Mm.
all this content on there, like live TV and all that stuff. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, does Netflix provide a value that's really worth $17.99? And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
not really.
Not to mention that their library tends to add and subtract pretty often, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
While Disney, on the other hand, even though it's set to
So ever
14.99 or is 10.99 or
it's
7.99,
always a growing
it's
library.
a growing library. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
But on the other hand, Disney has the benefit of owning those IPs instead of renting those IPs.
True. True. Because of contracts, yeah.
Yeah. Well, also them being part of the studio.
Well, yeah, like you said, they actually own. So they're not gonna. That would be a shitty mantra.
Yeah.
if they were to somehow start subtracting, that would be fucked.
Yeah.
That'd be fucked. But yeah, that's man. That got me thinking. There's got to be a piece here we're missing as we're talking about it live. But like, I mean, you can always point to greed. It always has to do with greed. But how are they trying to execute that greed? I mean, I know how to try to execute. I think their idea is okay. We stop password sharing. That's going to force X amount of people to buy their own account. But will it really? I don't think so.
With the price, it won't.
I think people that are either pitching in or just getting it for free,
they'll find another way, or
ain't gonna be missing anything.
Yeah.
They ain't gonna be missing anything.
Or people will only subscribe for, like, let's say if there's a show that they really want to watch, they'll only subscribe for that 1 month and then cancel.
And then binge and binge it and cancel. Exactly. Which is why I thought that philosophy was an interesting one because that's exactly how people could exploit their service, right? It's like, okay, I'm just waiting for the show, pay 1 month, binge, done. Which is why I think it'll be interesting to see if they change that and go to a weekly release, like HBO still does.
Well,
because that almost guarantees a couple months worth of subscription.
Yeah, but I think doing that also incentivizes people only, doing it once a month, because a lot of people are like, screw it, I'm not going to wait every week. I'll just buy it at the end, because I know you've done that before. And Netflix had this conversation before this year, and they decided that with all the, user data they brought back in the polls they did, they said they decided that they weren't going to do that. They're going to keep the binge model going forward, and they won't change that. At least for the foreseeable future, they said that they won't change it.
Well, that is a good approach, still a good approach for them, even though they're probably losing money that way. But like, it's a good approach for them because that really is, that's their IP, right? That's their origin story.
Yeah,
that's how they became known. So for them to go against of how they became to popularity really is the best move for them, despite the fact that they are losing additional money for people that are consuming their service like that. They can't go back on that. So
yeah, it's funny that you said like that's their identity, but it's also like their double-edged sword. It's like because they've introduced it, if they take it away, it'll be a huge backlash. Like I know I said if they went to weekly, I would cancel Netflix.
Yeah, and that's the sword they have to die on, or the hill they have to die on, the sword they have to fall on. Like that's them, and that's fine. That's what made them successful. But now they're just trying to create other creative ways to, to make additional money. And I'm sure this ain't going to be the last we talk about this. It'll be interesting to see how this pans out, and to find more information that we're probably missing on today's podcast, because I feel like there is something we're missing. I think there's a probably big piece of information we're missing right now.
I think also one of this thing is too that and like I said, I think that's also a future thing, so we probably will have to come back to this at some point. But I know I mentioned before how they're trying to do a gaming service now. They're trying to do another tier base with ads being more consistent. So I think they're trying to figure out how to make it economical, but also where they make money at the same time. And I think they kind of put themselves in a bind because they're trying too hard to figure this out all at once. And I think this is where they're having all these contradictions and articles being brought about them, is because they're trying so hard at one time to get all these different ideas pushed through. Because like I think I could be wrong. I haven't supposedly my service, the one I have, also comes with Netflix gaming, but I have no idea where to get Netflix gaming. I've looked on the iPhone, I can't find the app. I looked on the Netflix itself, there's no category for that. So I don't know where people are finding these games, because supposedly they're like the Stranger Things 3 game is on there, and there's also another game on there. Because how I was telling you, when we had Nightwing of Hyrule on the podcast, I said how there's going to be more narrative-driven games, like, House of Ashes, all that stuff. Apparently, some of those games are now on that service, too. And I had a feeling that's where they're going to push, because it fits that still story narrative-driven that kind of matches the shows. But I don't know where to access it. It's like they're building it, and they're trying to promote it, but yet they don't tell you where to find it. At least I haven't found it. Maybe I'm just stupid.
Interesting. Well, I don't have the service. I wouldn't be able to help you there. But that's very interesting. Unless it's like in a secretive beta stage or something.
Yeah. I excuse me, I just had an air bubble from water come up. But I think it's also accessible only on certain devices. Maybe I should try using an iPad because supposedly you can access it on tablets that give you the games.
Hmm,
That's
maybe.
that's something I'll have to research it myself. But yeah, it seems like Netflix is just trying so hard to like figure out their place in the streaming world because I think Disney really put a lot of pressure on them.
Mm-hmm.
Because Disney, their execution was fantastic. They came in strong. They had a whole bunch of good lineups. They have exclusives on their lineups from like
Mm-hmm.
shows,
Mm-hmm.
making people want to watch them
Mm-hmm.
at an affordable price. So it's like, because Disney, I think, is now second in the streaming service, like leaderboard, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're really close to edging Netflix out.
Yeah, I mean it's with all the different IPs they have, it's I don't want to say it makes it so easy for them, but damn, like they'll take that one spot. I think
Oh,
at some point.
100%. Like, I think
Yeah.
Netflix is trying too hard to cling onto a spot they won't be able to hold because Disney doesn't just own like Marvel, Star Wars, whatever. They own multiple networks because of the acquisition of Fox a couple years ago that opened up so many more avenues from like news to sports to everything.
Uh
Like,
huh.
that triple combo for Hulu and ESPN is just it's a killer for all
It
streaming
is.
services.
Yeah, it is. It is. Do they have any live streaming on there?
Yes.
They do. The ESPN portion would probably be live, right?
Yeah, they I think
Yeah.
well, ESPN the sports is live. I think you also have to add certain packages because you don't get all sports with ESPN Plus. It's just whatever is on that network at the time, like certain football games, certain basketball, whatever that's
Gotcha.
aired on ESPN Plus.
So you don't get ESPN the Ocho?
I mean, probably yeah. Anything
Oh, okay.
ESPN related, you get that.
Okay.
But if you do want to get live service, like live news, live shows, you actually can add a package onto Hulu to get live TV.
That's right. Yeah. Hulu does have live TV, kind of
But
like Sling and stuff. Yeah.
it's super expensive though because YouTube TV is the same thing like this. It's like 60 something dollars a month just for live
It's
TV.
almost like having cable at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like unless if you're into sports,
Yeah.
there's no reason to get it.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I think Netflix probably needs to make some sort of deal and acquisition in order to probably stay afloat. I mean, not stay afloat. They're going to stay afloat, right? Because they come up with their own IPs as well that help them. But
Well, I
if they're
think
gonna
I'm sorry, go
to
ahead.
compete against the Disney of the world, like they're gonna need, I don't know what they're gonna need.
So I think that Disney, sorry, I think Netflix also shot themselves in the foot by accident because they had a partnership going on with Nickelodeon and some other like networks,
Mm-hmm.
but because those networks also had their parent company decide to make something like Paramount Plus, for example,
Mm-hmm.
they came out and then they shut that Nickelodeon partnership down with Netflix. Like it was a big thing for a while. We're like, oh, all these shows are coming to Netflix and they're gonna stay on Netflix as an exclusive. And then Paramount Plus came out a couple months later saying, nope, those shows are actually going there. And I think they tried to get these partners up, but then because everybody's like, Disney's doing this, Disney's doing that, we gotta do it ourselves. Like, Paramount Plus came out, then Discovery Plus came out, and then now Discovery and HBO are struggling, and now they're thinking about combining both those streaming services into one streaming service, so they just get all the content at one. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this is like not just a Netflix issue. I think it's an all streaming issue that
For
eh,
sure.
because they all are trying to compete in this one spot. I think the
Mm-hmm.
competition is just so strict that they just got to figure it out. And I think right now we're seeing this mayhem of new ideas come up, causing this password sharing to be canceled.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it was coming anyway, right? Because it is a problem. It's definitely the consumers exploiting the system. But what did you expect them to do? Like,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I think at this point Netflix might be with certain ideas. I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt now, but depending on how it goes in the future, I think my over was 2022. I've been with them since 2007 or 8. I think that run might be going down soon.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
Yeah, because like the shows are good. I like a lot of the shows that are on Netflix, but the
Hmm.
price is deterring me. It's like I get so many other options everywhere else. It's like you just keep raising the price, you're gonna push me away from your service.
Yeah.
But we'll see. There'll probably be more about this coming out because 2023 supposedly somewhere near June, July. This is gonna take place.
Mm.
Supposedly, we'll probably get more information there. So we'll go back to seeing if this is a win for us or a huge negative for all of us.
We will follow up.
But going on to the next one, only gamers can save gaming. The reason why I brought this up is
Okay.
because obviously with games, they're still enjoyable, but people usually are one and done. They play it, they beat it, they move on. But a gaming community is what causes people to stick together. Like for example, I was talking about the PS Vita recently. I think this is a fantastic system, not because Sony made it, but because the gaming community that was on the system decided not to give up on it. Because Sony gave up on the system for like 3 years into it, and then the people afterwards, people that love the system, decided to make homebrew games. They hacked it, modified it, made the system better. Like you can add a PS4 controller, you can add these custom built games. Um, you can put on your TV, etc. And now this device that was originally a fail, in my opinion, is a success because, individual, gamers just want to keep it alive. Like you see that with Nintendo, a lot of retro games, they're keeping these services alive, even though these companies gave up on it. They're still keeping it going, adding more maps, more levels, more game modes, whatever. Like Call of Duty, for example, when they do those individual developer kits, a lot of the fans of that series make fantastic maps that make you want to keep going back to those older games because sometimes they're better than the actual developer maps themselves. So when you look at gaming, like I think Bethesda had this at some point where they were looking at all the modders on PC, the Skyrim and all that stuff, and they're seeing why it's so popular because all these people were creating these custom maps, custom mods to make the game more enjoyable, enhance the experience after its initial experience is over. And I think, with all these companies having their private greed and, going to like a live based service, it's kind of cutting down on, this gamer customization that we've been used to. And I think that's why when you see gamers criticizing all these games, I think it's because gamers don't have a option to customize themselves anymore. They are only monetized.
But is it really gamers? I mean, I'm sure they are gamers, but like, I mean, these people that create these mods and all this stuff, I mean, they're artists. Like, they're also probably trying to make it into the field, into that world themselves. Like, I feel like very few are as what we call passion projects, right?
Oh, well, it's 100% passionate, but they're passionate because they're also gamers and they want to see it succeed.
I mean, I'm sure there are, but I don't want to say the gist of them are. Like, I feel like they're trying to they're trying to update their portfolio to get to a company.
So you don't think the people that make like ads or add-ons for World of Warcraft are doing it because they want to help players out? That you think they just want to do it to show how their developing skills to get hired? I mean, I'm not
Yeah,
saying that it's
for sure.
that they're not doing that because obviously they want to
Because
get hired.
because I guarantee you, there's so many stories out there of those people that get hired by Blizzard.
Well, I'm not saying that they don't, but I'm saying I don't think that's the only reason why they're doing it. I think they also want to show that their passion for this game can also improve players' lives in these games.
I mean, I'm not saying every single one of them. There's a cynical approach. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that I feel like a large abundance of them. I mean, I I'm not against it because it creates replay value. I just like I guess like you're a little bit more progressive when it comes to this stuff. I'm not. I'm more like old school. Like I play a game to enjoy it on how they created it and how it was meant to be played versus it get modded to hell or customized to hell or reskinned to hell or XYZ to hell. I get the benefits for that. I really, really do. But it's just not really what I enjoy. Like I like you talking about modded PS Vita. I guess another example or like the mini NES, the mini SNESs, and all those other minis that came out, and then they mod those to hell and they broke them. Like I'm not a fan of that stuff. Like I'm just not. Um, I feel like things are meant to be enjoyed the way that they're created in their origin state. Um, but those communities are really, I mean, they're awesome, like for sure. I think there probably does need to be more of them.
I'm not
I
saying it
don't
has to be in
necessarily.
every game. I'm just saying there's a lot of projects that would have died without them. Like for example, a Halo, even though it's a huge launch by Microsoft,
Hmm.
the only reason why it's still popular, besides the small multiplayer aspect, is
Hmm.
that the Forge mode was introduced. And
Hmm.
because the Forge mode was introduced, causing player customization, all these new maps are causing players to go back and play these games because
Hmm.
of the new content that users are generating and not the developers are generating.
Yeah.
I'm not saying all games should be like that. I'm just saying that gamers have seemed to save most of the games that would have died out naturally if it wasn't for them having passion projects or personal interest in these games to keep it going. Because like the Vita, honestly, if people did not mod this system and do what they did by adding homebrew games, their own custom games, and quality of life stuff, this would be an obsolete system right here. But
Hmm.
because of all these people being so passionate about it, it made me buy it in 2022.
Hmm. No, I get it, and like I said, it's a good thing. I just I guess in lieu of our topic, gamer saving only can only save gaming. Like I don't think that's really true. Like gaming is evolved and going to continue to evolve and keep blossoming without resurrecting old devices.
Well, I'm not saying it has to resurrect, but I'm saying the way gaming has going for me, it's too
Mm-hmm.
monetized and too corporate for me to actually get more enjoyment of it. So far, the only enjoyment I get now is not from multiplayer games; it's from single player games because I enjoy the story. But after that
Mm-hmm.
story is over, there's no reason for me to go back to it, unless
Mm-hmm.
if I really, really, really am invested in that story.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't happen with every single game.
No,
But when it
no,
comes to
no, it
like these
doesn't.
multiplayer
And and
games,
and that's and just like once again, like for me, that's fine because like Derek compared this to a book. Even though I don't do read a lot of books, but when I start reading that book, it's going to have a beginning, middle, and an end, much like a video game. Done. Anticipate the next one if there is a next one, or find a new IP, find a new book, find a, you know what I'm saying? Like it's that same approach for me with the video games. Now, if you have a passionate gamer, as we're going to call them, take that game and mod it and create additional chapters. Like, is that cool? I think it's fucking phenomenal. I think it's great. I think they're very arty. They're very creative. They're very, all those good words. Like, they're awesome. But like for me, as a consumer of that said game, I guess because it's not canon, I don't give a fuck. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know.
I think
Maybe
you're
that's a bad
looking at
example,
I think you're looking
but
at this as a story perspective of like how
yeah.
people can do it,
No,
but it's
you use story from single players. That's why I piggyback that. Now, from a multiplayer standpoint, like new maps and stuff, like yeah, that's cool. Like there's nothing story driven about that. Like you're just going back and I don't know, like maybe the original map was New York and someone went and customized it for Chicago. Like oh fuck yeah, I want to experience that. Yeah, that's cool. But like I only did story because you said single player, and single players are usually more story driven. So
yeah, I was only saying that I only if I was to play games, I only get enjoyment from single player games because multiplayer is just too it's just too monetized for me to play it because it's like, oh, you get this very basic model, but if you want to have a little bit extra fun, pay $5.99,
no, no, yeah,
24.99 for that. I'm
and
like,
that's
no,
yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah, no, and good for you for making your decision and uh, standing tall with that because a lot of people are succumb to FOMO or what have you. Um,
Yeah, like
but
Fortnite is to me like I as much as I like the gameplay of Fortnite
yeah,
because the only additional value they're having is skins that cost
yeah,
$24. I'm
yeah,
like I'm good on that. I don't need
yeah,
that.
yeah. But to that same point though, like you don't need it, but you still technically could play the game.
Yeah, but you do feel like you're somewhat missing out though. Even though you're not buying it and you're doing it for a reason,
Yeah,
because you see all these people having fun enjoying their skins, you're like, well, I mean,
but
obviously it's the price you pay for not wanting to
but
do it,
but
but it does.
you could turn yourself into a fucking Terminator type, not like skin, but Terminator type player and fucking destroy everybody in the world in that game and do so with a default bald headed character and be like, yeah, you're dressed up as Deadpool today. Well, fuck you, and just destroy them. Like, take that, you stupid 24.99 skin. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like You could be the rebel of the world here.
You could,
No,
but let's be
but
honest. There's a lot of people who love customization, and I know for
yeah,
a
no,
fact that
yeah.
you're like that too, because your World of Warcraft character, you always transmog.
No, I don't. Not always.
You have a specific
But
transmog you go to.
I will give you a comp. I will give you a comp that hopefully doesn't change and does it right, and that's wrestling games. Wrestling has Create a Wrestler in which you could, and talk about communities now, where they share what they call cause for short, Create a Wrestler. They'll share how to make a wrestler from scratch, and they do, and arguably sometimes they do better jobs than the developers themselves, like how realistic they make them. Now, I haven't touched a wrestling game in years, but I used to do that myself. I used to have a website where I would upload the creative wrestlers, and people would love them. Um, but I wouldn't really make actual wrestlers. I would make like video game characters or something.
Yeah.
For me, like for whatever reason, I always struggled with this in art. Creating humans, I just sucked at. Like I just was not good at it. Like ask me to draw you, I will fail miserably. Ask me to draw a Pokemon, it's gonna look fucking badass. Like
Draw me a Pokemon.
I don't know.
I need to see it.
But nonetheless, so when you give the consumer the ability to create it themselves, that's very empowering. Like that's great. But I agree with you that the company or the current greed of the state of gaming, where like, no, we're not gonna let you customize it. We're gonna do it for you, and then we're gonna charge you. Yeah, that fucking model sucks, and that's why I think neither one of us, for the most part, more times than not, don't succumb to that. I unfortunately do it in WoW, but they're not. Thankfully, I don't think they're in a really greedy approach. Although that might change soon when they have this alleged kind of like what is it called? Battle season or something. I forgot what it's called. But anyways,
But to Blizzard's benefit, though, there is a way to acquire it without spending money.
Sure, sure.
There's not a lot of games that will give you an option to do that.
Which is great that they have done that. Because if they really want to be greedy as well, they could have never done that.
Yeah.
And get away with it. But where they did fuck up, because you brought up your Halo scenario, Warcraft 3 is another perfect example where the community, they built Dota straight out of Warcraft 3.
Did they really?
Dota would never have existed. League of Legends would never have existed if it wasn't for Warcraft 3.
I thought you were saying they built it in Warcraft, like a replica of Dota in that game. But you're saying that the Dota ideology came from Warcraft.
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
like a whole genre of gaming came from Warcraft 3. And then, oh my god, I just like scared myself.
You see the mask, you're like, it's a human.
No, dude, I swear to you, I saw someone standing right here. And I know you're watching me. And I spooked the fuck out of myself right now.
I need to go back because I seen a shadow when you're doing something, but I don't know if it was your shadow or another shadow.
Dude, I kid you not, I turned this one, I swear on my fucking life, I saw something standing, and you could see me flinch. If you play it back...
I did. I seen you do something. I was just like, that was weird.
If you play it back, I fucking flinched, because I swear to you, I thought I saw someone stand here. Anyway, live podcast going.
I've done that before, too, where I'm just like, what the heck is that? And it's like a little shadow figure.
Yeah. Anyway, customization, community customization, that was huge in Warcraft 3. I mean, tower defense, dare I say it was invented then, but it was huge then. And all those type of things. So I forgot what happened. I think Blizzard ended up kind of like poo-poo. Oh no, they didn't really poo-poo. They eventually just killed their servers, I guess, which they should have never have done. They should have just fucking kept them up because the community was having fun with them. I don't know. I think at some point, like the Halo ones, like I don't know what's the cost of keeping those servers up. Like Microsoft it's probably peanuts to them, so good for them. But for some companies, maybe it's not worth it for them to keep, you know, the monetary aspect of maintaining said servers. So, yeah. You know, sometimes things must come to an end.
I agree, and there's sometimes where projects actually get adopted by other people. Like I think yes. I'm trying to figure out what game, but there is a game. I know this for a fact. I just can't remember what game it is. But there is a old game that was gonna shut their servers down. a lot of players band together and they said, "Give us access to these servers. We will maintain them ourselves." And they kept the game going for a very, very. I think it's still going on. I can't remember
Mm-hmm.
what it is. I think it's like some kind of space game, like some kind of like travel RPG game,
Not
whatever.
not Eve, or was it Eve?
I don't know. I can't say for a fact. All I know is it was some kind of like space game that's still going
Eve,
on to this day.
Eve is a space game, and I believe it's still going on to this day. I just don't know if it was them or not. It might be though. It sounds because I feel like I've heard that story before as well,
Mm.
and it
Yeah,
might be that game.
I would have to look it up because I can't tell you for certain which game it is. But I know that there is a game that was popular. It died out unfortunately, but the players that liked it kept it going, and eventually slowly revived it themselves because they paid
Hmm.
for their servers.
Yeah,
But I'm just saying that like I said, I'm not saying every game needs these communities.
yeah,
I'm saying because of these communities, a lot of games have been saved.
yeah. And I think no. Okay, so in that line of thought, you know, it is fantastic. It is great, and like let's say, God forbid, another 15 years down the road, like Blizzard says, fuck WoW servers, but yet players still want maintain a WoW server with everything that's still been done. I mean, that's probably something I would like to see selfishly. So, like, yes, in light of our topic here, only gamers can save gamer or gaming. That is true when that time comes, right? Because I mean, from a company standpoint, you know, when it has to end, it probably has to end. But to um, the topic, it's only going to be a gamer or gamers plural that's going to keep that particular game or genre or in the Vita case system alive.
Mm. And I think it also helps certain companies too. Like Blizzard is one of the best examples how it was saved by its own community. Is that before the classic servers went up, there was a whole bunch of private servers that kept
Yes.
these old expansions alive.
Yes.
Obviously, Blizzard shut them down because they were realizing it was profitable, and they realized that they would take a lot of those people running those servers and actually integrate them with their own servers to keep these classic servers up on their side.
Mm-hmm.
But like because of that, they gave Blizzard an idea, and it actually revived their game for almost a year and a half, boosting their players almost to peak levels that they've never seen before because of community ideas that were driven before from fan projects.
It started with community, but let's be honest, that definitely was a greed
Oh, I
decision.
mean, yeah, they were making money from the paid private service,
Well,
but
actually, no, I take that back. I take that back. Well, maybe some, yes, but they're not separately charging Classic to retail. So, like obviously, I could play Classic for free. I just choose not to. But I'm sure there was a large census of players that were not playing retail, and they were only wanting to play Classic, so they got those subscriptions back.
mhm.
So that part was definitely greedy. But if they wanted to be even more greedy, they could have put that wall in between the two and say no, we're
Oh
going to
yeah,
charge.
but I'm not saying
But they didn't.
I'm
So
not
so they're
saying Blizzard is
benefit.
greedy, but I'm saying
Yeah,
because of that, it helped revive them by getting those numbers back.
yeah, for sure. No.
But like another thing that also helps them too, like saying gaming community helps the games, is let's be honest, if it wasn't for the add-ons, even though you don't use add-ons, if it wasn't for the add-ons, it wouldn't have given Blizzard the incentive to improve their game. Because a lot of the times these add-ons would enhance the game, and recently Blizzard did a whole UI change because they realized that nobody was using their actual UI. The majority was just customized add-ons, and that's why they did the whole nameplate, skin plate, templates. They did all that changing this year, even with professions, because they realized that they were letting their community build too much on their game instead of them doing it.
I mean, that's a whole nother separate conversation that I get passionate about, as you know. But I don't think that's necessarily true. I mean, maybe it is, but like I um I think it was overdue. What they have done in game is not even comparable to what add-ons do anyway. Like, let's be real. Like, is it a nice update and change? Yes,
Oh, are you kidding me?
but
The new UI that you have to add the stackable bars that came from Bartender, and that was already introduced a while ago. And they even, like you said, some of those people that develop these add-ons sometimes get into the companies. Like, what was it? I believe the guy that reworked the profession icons and all that stuff actually
mhm.
came from an add-on, and they got hired from Blizzard to create those new icons.
Correct.
And
Yeah, I mean
Bartender was the same thing. They went over from Blizzard and helped Blizzard out create their actual normal UI to match Bartender.
yeah, which also reinforces my initial thing about them having personal agendas.
Well, I'm
But
not.
I mean, but once again, to your point, does it add the quality of life to the game and gamer? Yes, for those that choose to. I guess I'm the anomaly. But anyway, um, where was I going with this?
No, I get what
Oh,
you're saying because like
like,
I know you want to pay the greed aspect that they want to get hired. Why shouldn't they? You know, they're doing work.
of
If
course,
they want to get,
I'm not disparaging them for at all. I mean, I think it's the genius approach of trying to get into the industry.
yeah, but they're also doing it
I'm
too
not
to also help the game on itself. I think they have two agendas going on: to get
I
hired
will
and then also to help the game.
I will agree with you if they actually prove and show that. Meaning they're still working for the big mothership company and still working and helping the
Well,
smaller
if they join the mothership,
dying
they
game.
wouldn't be able to go separate because of contract reasons.
So I think therefore that proves my point that they used it as a stool to get to where they want and said fuck off game. I mean they're still working in gaming, they're still a gamer, but
Well, they're still using that passion, but if you join that mothership, you have to listen to the corporate overlords on what direction it goes. They won't have the creative freedom like they had individually.
corporate overlords.
No, seriously, there's a lot of games
I know, no, I
that
know, I know.
suffered because of shareholders saying having their opinion. Like Call of Duty was one of the big ones that suffered the most. But I know you have something to do. Is there anything you want to keep adding on, or do you want to wrap this up? And
No, I feel for anybody that does listen to our podcast out there that it was a much shorter episode than usual. We let pull the curtain back for the people. We had a hard time finding topics this week, but at the same time, we felt like it was a not much of a newsworthy week as it was the week before. But nonetheless, I just wanted to peel back the curtain there and let people know.
yeah,
that we
I had time
but
constraints on me. Didn't have enough time to do. I know Steve always has a lot of stuff going on, so he didn't have enough time to. Yeah, just a lot of lack of time, I should say, for us to get fully prepared this week. So we apologize if it wasn't as good as the other ones, but we tried our best with whatever we had available to us.
Oh no, no, we didn't try our best. We did do our best.
But do you want to wrap it up here, or do you want to go to your thing and then come back?
Well, we're gonna wrap it up, but we could still have the postcast discussion if you like to call it that. But yeah, that was really it for our main topics for our podcast for episode 17 of the Automatic Podcast. So please check us out and check our previous episodes out on Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube, Twitter. We're on Twitter. We're on everywhere.
Instagram,
Find us.
TikTok, everything.
And we will be back next week, I would say, right?
I would, yeah. Yeah, because what, New Year's is on a Sunday or something like that. So yeah, Friday should be good.
Cool. So we'll be back next week with episode 18. So thank you very much. And please feel free to like, comment, share, follow.
Everything. Also, if you don't like it, let us know. We would love to hear your
yes,
opinions.
criticism too, constructive criticism. And also send Josh a check for $1 million.
Yes, we need equipment upgrades. And Steve bought him a new mic, but he needs another mic and camera and swords.
All right. Well, that wraps it up. Thank you very much. Till next time.
Peace.
Peace.